At the edge of the lake on the Misaki estate, Washu waited for the other members of her party to arrive. Despite the dire reason for their excursion, the red-roofed home seemed peaceful in the pastoral setting. Admittedly, all of the residents appreciated the rural locale, since their antics had typically become loud, even explosive. Whether the situation was an empowered spat between Ryoko and Ayeka, or one of Washu's experiments gone awry, an urban environment would have inevitably called attention to all of them very quickly. Excluding the Misaki Shrine further up the mountain, the nearest neighbor was miles away, meaning the extraterrestrials could come and go as they pleased without incurring the prying eyes of the uninitiated. Together, Ryoko and Ayeka exited the home, with Ryooki perched atop the pirate's shoulder. Folding her arms, Washu considered the pair, one as opposed to the other as fire was to water. The space pirate Ryoko dressed herself brazenly, low-cut to expose her cleavage, and tight-fitting to accentuate her figure. Her hair naturally spiked around her head, a fierce mane for the lioness, or a blaze of cyan engulfing her scalp. She walked proudly, confidently, daring anyone to challenge her. On the other hand, the Princess Ayeka wore a modest kimono, its layers hiding the curves of her form, but embroidered elegantly with motifs of the irises and waterways of Jirai. Her hair fell around her face in a bowl shape, though two tails trailed fluidly behind her, a traditional style she had worn for many years. Her gait was precise and well-practiced, an art form inherited from her regal predecessors. As they neared, Washu addressed them. "Ready?" "As will ever be," Ryoko replied. "Yes," Ayeka concurred, "though I hated to cancel my time with Sasami today." Ryooki mewed sadly, likewise displeased with the situation. While the cabot had long been Ryoko's companion and partner in crime, the furry creature had actually grown very close to Sasami. At heart, Ryooki was still very much a child, and connected readily to the azure-haired girl, despite them being from different planets. They often played and schemed together, and the loss of their fun time today disheartened the little cabot. "She'll get over it," the scientist answered plainly. "Besides, we should focus on the matter at hand." With a steadying breath, the princess added, "Agreed. Shall we be off then?" Together, the three nodded, as Ryooki mewed her acknowledgement as well. Ryoko then glanced to her furry companion. "Your turn, partner." At this, Ryooki leaped into the sky and began her metamorphosis. Meowing to the heavens, the animal's body began to crystallize and then expand in fractal patterns, gradually forming the hull of Ryoko's pirate battleship. Although the ship was composed of an organic black gemstone, she could handle the rigors of cosmic travel just as well as any GU vessel. Nestled among the spires of the fierce craft was a crimson sphere, the vehicle's bridge and passenger compartment. Moreover, Ryoko and Ryooki shared a telepathic bond, which not only allowed the lady pirate to understand her companion's mews as a language, but also enabled her to direct the ship psychically. In combat, this connection tended to be far more efficient than manual controls. After years of piracy, the pair functioned as a single engine for battle and robbery. Ruby circles surrounded the trio of women on the ground, the rings floating upward around them. Ryoko, Ayeka, and Washu slightly lifted from the surface of the earth, before all three faded away, and then reappeared on the bridge of Ryooki. There, they stood upon the mirror sheen of the crystalline floor, able to see outside through the one-way sphere protecting them. An object floated before Ryoko, composed of 3 spheres attached end to end, Ryooki's control yoke. While their telepathic connection was the ideal, physical controls did exist aboard the vessel, and the tactile contact actually amplified their mental link. With eyes set on the clouds above, Ryoko said, "Let's have a chat with those mech-riding bastards." With a loud meow, the starship shot into the sky, quickly exiting the atmosphere into the blackness surrounding the blue world below. Stars and other celestial bodies glimmered in the distance, small and minor compared to the silvery gray of the far closer moon. Washu extended her hands and summoned her phantom laptop, quickly retrieving the data she had amassed about the Arquillian vessel. "I traced the source of the transmission to a geosynchronous orbit over the North American continent," she related. "Why are they hovering there?" Ryoko asked. "Presumably," Ayeka concluded, "the intended recipient of the message would be there, yes?" Exactly, Washu agreed. The target of the transmission is in the middle of New York City. That's a hell of a place to put something so damned important, the pirate critiqued, as her ship began to process around the planet toward the location. They may have been hoping that no one would look in such a place, the princess proposed, or that the city would be busy enough to cover the item's location. Still, Ryoko argued, they involved a lot of people that had nothing to do with that thing. True, Ayeka accepted, but they likely did so to protect their own people. Yeah, the rogue sarcastically added, because their people are more important than anyone else. That's not what I meant, the regal lady defended. As they flew around the planet, the sun's light grew dim, heading toward the night of the American continents. Soon, the Arquillian battlecruiser came into sight, its exterior lighting glowing ominously in the Earth's shadow. Washu began analyzing the schematics she had acquired earlier, searching for tactical weaknesses, while Ayeka stepped forward. Steeling herself, the princess nodded back to Ryoko, who likewise took a careful breath. At the pirate's mental cue, Ryuoki produced a translucent panel floating before Ayeka. Normally, this communication screen would display the other party in the conversation, provided the channel allowed video exchange. However, the rectangular construct was filled with garbled static and digital artifacts. Are we transmitting? Ayeka whispered back. Yeah, Ryoko answered. This is the right channel. They're just not answering. How rude, the princess commented under her breath, before addressing the screen. To the Arquillian battlecruiser in orbit of Sol 3, I am Princess Jirai Ayeka from the Jirai Empire. I would like to speak with the commander of your vessel immediately. Static remained on the screen. Again, Ayeka repeated, this is Princess Jirai Ayeka of the Jirai Empire. I am addressing the Arquillian battlecruiser currently orbiting the third planet of this solar system. Please do me the courtesy of responding. No change in the display occurred. To the Arquillian battlecruiser threatening the nearby blue planet, I am Princess Jirai Ayeka, and under the terms of our Imperial Alliance, I demand an audience with your commanding officer. This isn't working, Ryoko whispered to Washu. I can see that, the scientist acknowledged, though busy with her own task. Then Ryuoki meowed, surprised. She relayed her sensor information to her mistress, who immediately turned to the display of the ship outside. The ridges of its hull began to glow and spark with accumulating force, ready to fire its primary weapon. Oh shit, Ryoko cursed. Get out of the way, Ryuoki! Quickly, the crystalline ship darted to the side, suddenly, putting Ayeka and Washu off balance for a moment. Just afterward, a golden green ray shot from the Arquillian craft's prow, racing toward Earth's north pole. Even aboard Ryuoki, the trio could see the planet's clouds part, showing a melted crater in the ice below. Thankfully, the area was uninhabited. The warning shot, Ryoko thought to herself. Only an hour left. However, before anyone could react fully to what had happened, Ryuoki shuddered and shook from an impact. Screeching out in pain, the crystalline vessel spun and began to fall down toward the planet. Smoke billowed from one of her many spires as she descended into the atmosphere. Aboard, Ayeka and Washu fell to the floor, while Ryoko levitated to stay righted. Through their telepathic link, Ryoko could feel Ryuoki's injuries, hear and understand her cries. What just happened? The pirate asked through their connection. What just hit us? I don't know, her ship answered. I thought I dodged the shot. What's going on, Ryoko? Ayeka asked. Did they fire directly at us? I'm not sure, the pirate answered. I don't think so. Another shot rocked the vessel, and then another, spurring howls of pain from the craft around the trio. Ayeka outstretched her hands, forming a barrier around herself and Washu, before they both would have slammed into a gemstone bulkhead. The princess's eyes turned to her cyan-haired rival, who held tightly to the control yoke. At Ryoko's mental order, panels appeared all around her, each showing a different area of nearby space. However, the only ship she could see was the Arquillian craft, silently floating above them, its weapons dark, unused. Who the hell is... Ryoko started to ask herself, when her amber eyes caught a glimpse of a shimmer nearby the battlecruiser. The screen zoomed closer on the shimmer, a distortion in the starlight just above the military craft. Comparatively, the distortion seemed a little smaller than Ryuoki, but unfortunately, the image fell out of focus as clouds filled the displays. The crystalline starship grew red hot while she spiraled through the atmosphere. Ryuoki streamed her damage to Ryoko's mind, balancer disabled, anti-gravity lost, navigation disoriented. However, the veteran rogue recognized the ground coming ever closer, the island Washu had identified as the target of the original transmission. "Hold on," Ryoko ordered, grasping the control yoke firmly. "I'll aim for the bay!" Ayeka and Washu clung to one another within the barrier of Jiraiya's power, while the vessel screamed downward through the sky. While her emergency thrusters fired to slow her descent, she still splashed down hard in the lower New York Bay on the night of the 5th of July, 1997.